Fellow YouTubers, we are hanging out, doing some laundry, about to get the wands ready for shipping. Sydney Watson came out with another video, White People Bad Part 2, because I'm so sick of this. You know, I'm sick of it too, to a degree, but the problem with racism is it affects every race to a degree, some worse than others, but
the longer this goes on, the less I understand. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to my channel. So as I started editing this video, I realized I forgot to add that this video is sponsored by Surfshark.
Cowabunga! I got a local wand order here in town, thanks to Alex Campbell, who found a customer. I'm literally the only professional wand maker in town that makes them by hand. That's actually kind of cool. But aside from that, we got we got a lot to talk about. And the problem with our society is every race has a negative stereotype, and the negative stereotype for whites is that we're all racist, and it doesn't help the argument or the situation when that ends up being the case. But
they're really nice people. So I don't know about the rest of you, but at this point I am pretty tired of hearing about white supremacy and white nationalism and all the problems with whiteness. You name it, there's an academic flim-flam term for it. And at this point, regardless if you're black or white, if you are a conservative, according to the basement-dwelling radical leftists, we're all Edward Norton from American History X, because nothing they do or say ever makes any sense. So today we're going to be talking about anti-white rhetoric. Again, because it's basically never ending at this stage. I mean, if we're being totally honest, it sort of feels like everyone is being told day in and day out just how bad whiteness is and how racist white people are. And you know, we also can't escape this inbuilt sense of racism that we have. Thanks. I hate it. No, seriously, we're at a point where we're being told that being colorblind is one of the worst things in the world.
I don't see color is one of the most dangerous things you can say.
And just because you don't claim to see race doesn't mean racism is suddenly going to disappear. This isn't a game of peekaboo. By ignoring race, you're both dismissing racial issues in America and trivializing this nation's history of using race as a means to leverage power.
Yes. I don't get it. Some of you...
well, to be fair, Sydney and YouTube, when people say they don't see race, they're not saying they don't see racism, because sometimes, I guess it depends on how you interpret it, but to be honest, just because someone says they don't see race doesn't mean they're saying that they, you know what I'm saying? You have a term that was created to stop racism, and now it's being seen as racist. What? At that point, I kind of get why Sydney says I don't get it, but at the same time, I also think it's how you interpret it.
You might even remember such episodes as, "Can my children be friends with white people? Robots are racist. Why does the US military celebrate white supremacy? The whiteness of Toy Story 4. And animals with white fur are also racist."
Okay, so Ivanka Trump criticized for giving daughter an all-white dog. Well, to be fair, if she would have given her daughter an all-black dog, she would have been called a racist too. So it's like, when we're race washing the simplest things, like getting your kid a dog, regardless of who you are, shouldn't that be innocent enough? Like, because of Trump's racist bullshit, she can't even give her daughter a dog. But not her, because of her husband's BS, you know. That's kind of unfair, dude. But that's life. And you know what's unfair? Honestly, more than that, the fact that minorities like African Americans have had to struggle for like 400 to 500 plus years just for civil rights and for freedom. It's ridiculous. And that's one thing that Sydney Watson fails to I don't think she fails to realize it, but some of the things she says, it's just like, yeah, about that. I think people just look for a reason to be pissed off, so the simplest thing of, oh, you know. People are jealous of Trump and his money, so of course when Ivanka Trump, and on top of that, Donald Trump's been known to be a racist. And on top of that, you know, on top of that, and before you call me a dick for saying that, hear me out. Barack Obama got his girls a white dog. Nobody said it was racist. And it's just like, okay, I'm not trying to be a dick about that. I'm just saying, when we're letting racism divide us so much that you can't get a dog without being called a racist. Like, it's ridiculous.
And truthfully, all of this gets very tiresome after a while. But something that I find so irritating across the board is how everything and anything gets linked back to white supremacy and white nationalism, even when it doesn't make any logical sense, which it often doesn't. Even here in the US, for the 4th of July, there were plenty of commentators saying that Independence Day is a celebration of white supremacy and white men, even pointing to the fact that 2 of the presidents on Mount Rushmore have a history of slavery, and now it's a no-go zone.
And so here we are, celebrating the birth of a nation. Independence for white men.
I don't know, black lady on TV. Kinda seems like you're pretty independent to me. Sydney, do you want to get banned off of this platform? No. Okay then, you drink your tea quietly now and you give that nice lady her oppression points. But it
Oppression points, really?
seems that this narrative arises no matter where we are in the world. A lot of you know that I grew up in Australia, and we actually have to put up with this as well every single year, where people try to connect Australia Day, our national holiday, to genocide and murder. And of course, that shocks no one. But nevertheless, we're repeatedly told just how racist our countries are because they don't have enough non-white people in television or media or whatever. I mean, in this case, Australia is around 90% white, so of course you're going to see more white people on TV. We're the majority population. My emotional reaction to reading a lot of this is just, what? And hearing this kind of rhetoric day in, day out rolls us around to some pretty strained racial tensions. And some of this rhetoric is getting so stupid, you're going to want to pull your hair out. But before you do that, don't do that, because then you might miss the sponsor of today's video. Surfshark VPN. Now at this point, almost all of you will know what a VPN is because every YouTuber you like is sponsored by one. But seriously. And VPNs like Surfshark protect you on the internet, let you browse anonymously, and keep your private information from being exposed. So if you don't have one, it's definitely worth getting one. But I'm not your mom, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. But can you be my mom? No! Surfshark has a bunch of great features, like letting you use it on as many devices as you like from the one subscription, all at the same time if you wanted. But I think a lot of you will like its blind search feature, which, in their own words, is a bare-bones, ad-free, zero-log private search service. It's the real incognito mode for searches you don't want anyone to see. Because not today, Mr. FBI man. So for all of this and more, head over to surfshark.deal/Sydney for 85% off and an additional 3 months free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk in trying it out. So click the link in the description and I will in fact be your mum. And I'm definitely not keeping that joke. Now, I came upon this video filmed recently in Atlanta of a black militia group, which is actually what they call themselves, just by the way.
And this is where it gets to be a thing. Unfortunately, YouTube, there are extremes on either side of the spectrum. So, because of that, it's gonna give both sides a bad movement. Especially if one side's known for being racist and the other side is sick of the oppression. It just means everyone's way too aggressive. Everyone just needs to calm the fuck down.
The way. And they go up and approach this man's car for, I guess, like, smirking at them while they're posturing how tough they are.
What? You know what I am? I'm your worst nightmare, bro. And once you go in there and stick that comedy and shit, this ain't the one you want to talk to, bro. We ain't no Black Lives Matter. We ain't none of that bullshit. Go ahead. We're black militia and shit ain't your worst nightmare. Go ahead. We're black militia, bro. What are you? What are you in the question? Everywhere you go, you invade, steal, rape, rob, and kill us. Oh, really? Then you steal people's culture. Then you have to be able to have an attitude about it. Where's our reparations? Thank you. Of course. I like the song.
What did I do to you?
It's not what you did. What the amateur feet did. And you benefit from that. Go ahead and wipe your mouth before you lose your life.
I ain't gonna get in this with y'all.
Now, if you didn't catch that for whatever reason, our friends are shouting Black Power, telling our other friend he owes them reparations, and that he is in fact to blame for the actions of his ancestors. I mean, just look at this guy. He probably doesn't even have any ancestors from that time period anyway. And even if he did, he's suddenly to blame for the actions of a feudal slave owner back in, like, I don't know, the 1800s? Just...
more like early 1800s.
Are we all very stoned? I mean...
no. We're not all very stoned. I mean, the bitch of it is that slavery and repression of people's culture, it's been going on since the dawn of time, and
if this is the standard by which we're doing things now, then I want everyone to be aware that literally millions of European white slaves were traded by Muslim and African pirates, you know, and I have European ancestry. I'd like some reparations, please. Now, the clip in question actually came from one of 2 live streams, which I watched in full, the things I do for you guys. And it appears that a large portion of this group do actually believe in black separatism and black nationalism, which is actually something that we've talked about before on this channel. Someone really ought to tell these guys that there's an entire continent full of African people, most of whom are already practicing black nationalism. Sydney, this is not really what I meant when I said drink your tea and try not to get banned. Now, my question here is, what makes a group of men in Atlanta take up arms and start patrolling the streets? Well, that's likely the result of being force-fed a diet that tells you that white people are inherently racist, and we're all blue-eyed devils that are out to stomp on your freedoms and inhibit your life. I'd argue that it's the same attitude and narrative that links being white to racism and privilege at almost every opportunity, which has resulted in very clearly racial hostility and tension, but also a bunch of self-hating white people, which is really annoying. And in my searches on the internet, I found a lot of videos that show us just that. Like this man, for example, following a group of kids, yelling at them for wearing Make America Great Again hats. And this man bashing a Macy's employee for allegedly calling him the N-word. And this woman just doing whatever this is.
On your hands. We got, boo. Blood is on your hands. All the white babies. Tell them all right now.
And this because, why the heck not?
If you don't support Black Lives Matter, I'll break your kneecaps.
Now guys, don't get me wrong, I know that there are a bunch of videos out there showing white people doing super racist things as well. I know, I'm aware. And I'm not here trying to suggest at all that white people don't engage with racism and don't do racist things. They're Democrats usually. Wow, clever. You thought up that one on your own?
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
But
the problem with racism, Sydney, is racism exists in all political parties. There are racist Republicans, there are racist Democrats, and regardless of...
But the venom that comes from anti-white rhetoric is, in my opinion, fueling white people feel justified in going out and bashing someone simply because they can. In the same way that people feel justified going out and hitting or attacking people for supporting Trump. In the case of the Macy's employee, for example, why was the first response to hit him? If he did in fact say the N-word, which mind you, he didn't, why was violence the first response to that situation? With the kids in the Trump hat, why say anything at all? Why go to the effort of berating someone simply because you disagree with them politically? When the media is telling people day in and day out just how racist countries like America, Australia, and Britain are, when people are being told just how much white people hold them back, that we want to commit hate crimes against them, that we're the reason that their life sucks, people are probably gonna get kind of hostile towards us eventually. And if you're being told these things from the time that you're a teeny itty bitty little pudding person, then it's not particularly shocking to me that someone would grow up absolutely hating or feeling negatively towards the white population. Doesn't make it less racist, but I get it. And some of this anti-white rhetoric is actually pretty subtle, but coming out in the most bizarre ways. In these allegedly internal documents from PayPal, they now view white advocacy as something that can get you banned from the platform. So you can advocate for black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, but you cannot advocate for whites. That gets you sent straight to hell, my dudes. Straight to PayPal jail. Them's the rules. Now obviously, I don't really know what they're referring to when they say white advocacy, but it's yet again a super arbitrary made-up term that basically leaves anyone and everyone open to being booted off the platform if they do something that PayPal doesn't like. You could probably argue here and maybe even make a case for the fact that this kind of terminology yet again links standing up for white people or Caucasians as something that's super negative and worth being punished for. But as per usual, the buck doesn't stop here. Twitter and other major social media platforms are trying to yet again change our language to accommodate our hyper-racialized world. In an effort to use more inclusive language, Twitter wants to move away from using words like whitelist, blacklist, slave master, and so on, suggesting other words like allow list or deny listed. And yet, I have no doubt that these new terms are exclusionary to someone somewhere. But what really confused me and weirded
That's because you can't please everyone, Sydney.
me out was that this is not even an uncommon idea. The internet is full of the concept that terms like whitelist and blacklist are intrinsically linked to racism. Due to the Black Lives Matter movement, we're changing the name of whitelist. Black Lives Matter? What? Rename the racist term whitelist to safelist in setup. No, but actually, what?
Now the look on Sydney's face, she's just like, huh, are you kidding me? Here's the thing of it, you two, and I'm being totally serious. When whites have a history of being racist to everyone else for so long, including themselves, believe it or not, the Scottish and Irish immigrants were called the N-word when they came to this country. And it's ridiculous. That look on Sydney's face at 11 minutes and 53 seconds, she's just like, Urgh. She looks a little mad.
The terms whitelist and blacklist are rooted in the racist concept that white equals good and black equals bad. And lastly, and I know you guys will love this example, we're now questioning whether or not chess is racist because the white pieces always move first. I guess all of this leads me to a point where I question not only where all of this stops. Apparently you can link anything white right now to racism, even when it's innocuous, but how helpful all of this is going forward, because as I've said before, this is not helpful. Calling out genuine racism from all sides is absolutely one thing, but it seems that right now the radical left, the media and politicians get to unilaterally decide who and who can't be racist. And I guess that sort of defeats this message of unity and love that they think they're trying to push. Training people to think that white, whether that be the color of something or the color of people, is something that we can constantly and always link to racism and badness is so bizarre to me. Training people to think that white people and white objects are automatically oppressive and reflect that oppression is also bizarre to me. And the fact that nobody views this attitude as racist is just off the planet.
The reason why nobody views it as racist, Sydney, is because racism has happened to everyone else except whites. For the most part, the last 400 or 500 plus years. But at the same time, when we live in a modern society where minorities and women have more rights than they've ever had before, there's more equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean, oh, now it's your turn to be picked on. No, because fighting fire with fire is just going to make it worse.
Insane to me. I guess I'm just sort of at this point where I'm so tired of how divisive everything is. And the thing is that I'm not even blaming the people on the ground. I am blaming the politicians and the media and the radical activists for getting us to this point where everyone hates each other. And no...
Yeah, that's kind of true. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Sydney Watson's not really pissed off at the people. She's more pissed off at these radical groups, the radical groups on either side, all the social media and news outlets on any side, getting in people, the politicians that turn people against each other. I kind of agree with that. Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. And the thing of it is, YouTube, you know, you can't let all that crap influence you, you know, to a point. To a point. You can't let it influence you negatively, because that's just going to make things worse.
Knowing that a lot of what we're told is not even grounded in fact is even more frustrating to me. So I usually try to end these videos with a summary of my thoughts, but in this particular case, I'm just going to summarize by saying, I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired of the divisiveness. I'm tired of the anti-white rhetoric, and I really hope that people start actually waking up and seeing through it, because as far as I'm concerned, it's absolute garbage. So, before I open the floor to all of you beautiful people, this is just a reminder that you can download Surfshark VPN using the link in the description. When you do, you'll receive 85% off and 3 months free. And, you know, support these guys because they support me and they're actually really nice people. So, there's that. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is this anti-white rhetoric getting out of hand? Am I totally off base and it's not even really a problem? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.
Well, YouTube.
It was about the third week into...
Yes, the anti-white rhetoric is a thing, but is it as bad as it could be? No. Considering we don't have cops that are black killing white people, for example. So to some degree, yes, I think it is a topic that, it is a topic that if we're going to discuss it, then anti-white rhetoric is a thing. But at the same time, it's not as bad as some of the anti-rhetorics that have gone around with other people. So, not a whole lot I can say on that issue, except that's pretty much how I'm going to say it. And there might be some people who really disagree with me or strongly disagree. That's just the internet, because yay for the internet. I'm gonna go back to doing laundry. I'll catch you cool cobras on the next one.